ride has been actually pretty damn good. So until we break Austin's truck.
Oh boy, we have a super special video for you right now because we have every generation of Tacoma TRD off-road in one place.
That's right. Welcome to Taco Supreme or Taco Grande.
We have the first gen, we have the second gen, we have the third and fourth generation. So what do you say? Let's walk around each generation, take them off-road, and see the progression.
That sounds like a plan.
This is the year for Toyota TRD. From the new Tacoma to the 4Runner to the Land Cruiser, it's a big year for Toyota. And if you are the ultimate Toyota TRD fan, boy do we have a product for you. Original Grain has partnered with Toyota TRD to produce an exclusive limited edition collection of TRD inspired watches. Each watch comes in a custom Pelican style hard shell case. Now this is a TRD Pro Nightshade automatic watch, and check this thing out. It's made from racing grade aluminum and a Blackwood face with TRD branding, as well as TRD branding there along the side. It's powered by a 21 joule automatic movement and a 40-hour power reserve, but you've got a bunch of other goodies in here, including another strap, a multi-tool, and of course, your limited edition number out of 250. Use code TFL at originalgrain.com/TFL to get an additional 10% off. They're running up to $100 off site-wide for Father's Day, and you can stack this discount on top for the lowest price ever.
This is where the story begins for the Tacoma, not for Toyota pickups.
No.
Because they go back decades.
Sure.
But the first gen Tacoma started really in 1995 and it went through 2004.
That's right, and this is a first generation truck that has been temporarily donated by our friend Austin. And Austin,
Thank you.
yes, thank you so much. He has a 2001 model.
Yes.
I used to own a 2002 model, and we actually had some videos with it.
I remember, I think we did a drag race back in the day with your truck.
Yeah.
But I think the styling on this is slightly updated, right? Because they had a couple of one refresh within this generation. I love this kind of smoother style and these headlamps.
Yeah, if you go back just a couple years prior to this truck, you'll see that this section here is what's really different because they had square headlights that were sunk in a little bit. But this is a smoother, more aerodynamic thing, but the rest of the sheet metal really is pretty much the same for the first generation.
So Austin also did a couple of really tasteful mods, I think.
Yeah.
It's a slight lift, and also these beautiful 1552 wheels, kind of monoblock wheel, kind of a little classic looking.
They are indeed kind of a little classic looking.
Yes.
So is the whole truck. For many people, this is the holy Bible of trucks. Not for everybody, though. Because if you own a Nissan, you might not think that.
Yeah, well, this is a Toyota show, okay?
Okay, so let's talk about this.
Yeah, so this is an extra cab, SR5, also TRD off-road. I can't believe we have 4 generations of TRD off-road in one place at one time.
That is going to be a huge boon because we are going to do some just light off-roading with them, just to talk about the differences in power delivery, because they're very different in terms of powertrain, but they're also different in terms of interior. Did you know that you actually could get a version of this cab, but with a split front bench seat that allowed 3 people sitting across, so you could hold 5 people in these?
Well, I want to see these people because I don't think 3 of us will sit in there.
No, it wouldn't be
because
like
it's still a pretty compact vehicle.
Right.
It's a mid-sized truck. And it has a traditional kind of high floor, right, and lowish roof.
Yes.
This is a traditional Tacoma size, and they have, the extra cab has these little nice windows for ventilation. Bam, right there.
Yeah.
They also had single cab, right, regular cab, and also double cab, 4-door cabs in this generation.
Indeed they did, and all of them were powered. They really had 2 major power sources, a 4-cylinder and 6, and we'll get to that in just a sec.
All right, before we get to the power and the engines, we got to talk a little bit about utility. First of all, well, this has a 2-inch receiver and a pretty nice 7-pin plug, so it's 2001. But do you remember how much were these rated to tow?
I believe they maxed out at 5,000 pounds, but you had to have the right configuration to get there. In many cases, trucks like this weren't happy going above 3,500 pounds. Look at this.
But I also wanted to mention about payload and also bed utility. This is basically a 6-footer, so this is a slightly longer bed, but it's not very deep. Here's my handy tape. If you measure the depth of this bed, it's around 16 inches, which was kind of typical for some of these trucks, but really easy to reach in, right?
That's one of the things I loved about my truck. I used it all the time for just getting like logs and firewood and whatnot and going to the Home Depot, whatever. So having the ability at any point in the truck, even if you weren't that tall, to reach in and be able to touch the bottom of the bed was really cool. And they've gone away from that in most trucks, and you'll see that progressively.
And the payload was between like 1,800 pounds and like 1,300 pounds, which is actually a really good number. A gross vehicle weight rating of 5,100 pounds. So if you take, let's say in the worst case, like 1,300 or 1,400 pounds, this truck is relatively lightweight for what it is.
Right. Now, speaking of lightweight, shall we show them the under the hood?
Yeah, let's pop it. Because actually, technically, there were 3 engine options, and upwards
In the United States, we should say, by the way.
in the United States, and 2 transmission options.
Yeah, so this is the lauded 3.4 liter V6, 190 horsepower, 220 pound-feet of torque, hooked up to a 4-speed automatic in this truck, but there was the 5-speed manual transmission available. And back in those days, the manual was the quicker choice. Nowadays, it's a little bit different in terms of, performance. This engine is considered by many to be one of the more reliable V6s out there, and I believe we had this V6 inside of a 4Runner that we recently used. Am I correct?
We did, and it was in several different vehicles for Toyota, and also one of our friends has a Tacoma first gen with 775,000 miles, even though it's a second engine. But still, these are very durable engines.
They are, but they also had 2 different 4-cylinder engines that were available.
There was a 2.4 and a 2.7. By the way, the 2.7, we'll talk about it later because it was also available in 3 generations of this truck.
Right. Ironically, 4-cylinder engines are all that are available now, but we'll get to that in a second.
Of course, 4-wheel drive. I like this plate. I forgot, Nathan, I forgot about this differential lock operation sticker on the driver door. It just tells you to use the diff lock in emergency situations when you're really, really stuck. Here's the shifter for the 4-wheel drive system. There's a button, high and low and neutral. So pretty simple system to use. The diff lock is over here, and power ECT button, which doesn't do a heck of a lot.
Yeah, I know you guys, especially Toyota fans, are going to scream at us about that, but we've been playing with these damn buttons for years, and it honestly doesn't seem like it makes that much of a difference.
Also, there's a little bit of adjustment on the steering column. Let me figure this out.
There you go.
But it doesn't telescope.
Well, what do you want? Come on, you're being selfish.
But also, this one has power mirrors and windows, which is a luxury item.
That is decadent. Yeah, mine actually had manual mirrors and windows. I didn't want anything to go wrong, is the way I put it. Also, This has a sliding rear glass.
So, dude, in order to shift, I had to be in neutral, and I moved my lever. And I went into low range because I think we need low range for, just for crawling purposes.
I think that would be a good idea. Now, it is a little bit different in setup if you get the manual transmission, but I mean, the idea is the same with the lever, but it's a different lever.
Okay, good to know. And so far, I'm not using my locking differential because Toyota was very specific. It's only for emergencies.
We never encounter those. So, quick thing I wanted to point out is that this does not have stock suspension, tires, or wheels.
Right.
All those things have been updated, but I wanted to point out something very interesting about that.
One.
Oh, we're going down logs, far out.
Yeah, we are. And by the way, Austin put Bilsteins on this truck.
Yes,
which is
indeed.
good, with really good shocks.
Yeah, the ride has been actually pretty damn good. So
Until now.
Until we break Austin's truck. So I'm glad you're driving.
We're not breaking anything.
I'm kidding.
In fact, Austin goes like rock climbing and stuff.
Yeah, I know. So I wanted to point out something really important.
Yeah.
This is a statistic. I'm curious if you guys know this.
Yes.
But I think that next to Jeep Wrangler owners,
Yes.
Toyota Tacoma owners are most known for leaving or not leaving their truck stock. So in other words, getting aftermarket components.
Yes.
I've rarely seen an older Tacoma stock.
Yeah, I think it's almost unheard of, at least in Colorado,
Exactly.
to see it stock.
So I think just a step behind the Wrangler guys are the Tacoma guys in terms of modifications.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to make it more difficult on this truck because really Andre Spit, by the way, I didn't name this course.
Of course you didn't.
Roman named it, and also David built it.
Yes.
So,
well, obviously Roman's, because there's a Nathan's Crack right next to us. That was Roman's, yeah.
But let's see. I'm breaking something.
Is this an emergency where we hit the locker?
Yes.
I think this is an emergency where you hit the locker. I think the camera guys are saying yes.
By the way, I think Austin probably on purpose didn't lift this truck to the sky, which is good. But
Well,
articulating wise, I think we're robbing a little.
might be rubbing just a hair. Is that rub out here? Might be a little rub.
Case, tell Austin I'm sorry.
Austin, he's really sorry.
By the way, articulation is amazing because our tires are rubbing.
That's why articulation is amazing.
But that's how I know it.
You heard it here first, folks.
By the way, traction is spectacular.
Yes.
I'm using so little throttle.
And this is the lightest of the 4 trucks too, by.
Yeah, it can hop like a little goat.
Yeah. I remember off-roading in a vehicle that just had open diffs like mine, and it did a really good job. And that was partially because it was very lightweight.
And look, just plenty of power. I mean, we're talking about how underpowered this engine is, but not for this. You know, when you're off-road, you don't need massive power.
Just a little bit of torque really helps. Yeah.
So I would say it did rub because this is not a stock truck. So please don't write letters to Toyota.
We are going to have to mark it off though. Let's see. Tires too big, rubbing too much.
No.
Andre
broke Austin's truck.
Andre broke Austin's truck. Yeah, there'll be a bill. I'm kidding. Okay, there we go. We're good.
All right. Well, let's check out the second gen truck, huh?
That sounds good.
All right, that was a lot of fun, but now we have to look at the second generation Tacoma.
Yeah, and many people seem to think that this is the generation to get. You know why?
Why?
Because it's got the beefy V6, the 4-liter, which is in some ways even more legendary than the 3.4 liter because it's super, super strong and still being used today in the 4Runner, although that's about to change.
And in the comments below, tell us what's your favorite engine or favorite generation. And at the end of this video, we'll tell you ours.
That is correct.
Okay, styling has changed. This is a 2005 model of the Tacoma, thanks to our buddy Gavin. Gavin is the newest member of the TFL team.
Sucker.
And this belongs to him. It is a double cab, four full-size doors on this little Tacoma. Well, it actually grew in size a little bit from the first gen.
Yeah, in almost every measurable dimension, when they went to the new generation, it enlarged. Now, there are a couple things you should know. First of all, this is not part of what comes with the vehicle.
No, especially this is not Toyota. This rust.
You're going to get over that.
That is not Toyota. Okay?
I'm glad you're not pointing it out. That's great.
No.
So anyway, but the rest of the truck, for the most part, is very similar to what when I started working. This is one of the first trucks that I reviewed.
We'll talk about power, but let's talk about the size of it, right? So this is a 5-foot bed, but of course you could get it with a shorter cab options as well.
Right.
The single cab and an extra cab.
Why don't you measure the tailgate? I'm curious about something. So last time we were about 16 inches, right?
Yeah, so now let's do this again.
This is the first time they went to using composites to build this bed.
We grew 2.5 inches to 18.5.
But it's still a usable size, at least for a relatively tall guy like me. I can easily touch the bottom of the bed. But now that we have composites in here, we have a much stronger bed instead of it being all steel.
Yes, and many tie downs. And look at this, even a built-in, right there, outlet.
Yeah.
10 volts.
Yeah, 400 watts.
Yeah, this is nice. And this is even to this day, Tacomas have an option for that.
Which is awesome that they need to do more, but that's a different story. So this is kind of the point to the future, right? So this is the first time they've done this, but there were still a lot of components in here that had to be beefed up, which you're going to see on the next generation. We'll get to that in a minute.
Once again, 2-inch receiver, but just like the first gen, the placement of the 7-pin connector, I think it's not the best, because I think most of them were done at the dealership or maybe aftermarket.
Right.
And when you're off-roading, they're susceptible to being hit.
As Tommy's proven with many vehicles in the past.
Yes.
But the good news is that now that you have a beefier engine and frankly a beefier truck, you also can tow more.
Yes, so 3,500 pounds for most of them, a lot of them. But then when you stepped up to the big engine in the towing package and some proper cooling, right, up to 6,500 pounds was now possible.
Yeah, and that's a number you're going to hear again and again.
And again, and again. So yeah, styling, of course, is kind of unique, and they had a couple of different refreshes.
Yep.
Right, small refreshes and small updates coming through this generation. Let's quickly take a look at payload. This does have a payload sticker. So let's take a look. Take a look-see. Payload on this one is 1,124 pounds. You know, not the best.
No, but remember, this is a full crew cab, and I believe that if you were to get the standard cab, you'd have a much higher payload.
All right, I'm popping the hood.
Yep, got it.
Okay, let's take a look at the power. By the way, in the US, they had 2 engine options and many, many different transmission options. Up to 4 different transmissions were available in this generation.
Yeah, let's go over that. So first of all, let's talk about this. This is the 4-liter V6. This is the beefy, burly, very popular V6. But there was another one, there's a 2.7 that was also available.
Yeah, this engine, 245 horsepower and about 282 pound-feet of torque.
4-speed auto, 5-speed auto, 5-speed manual, 6-speed manual.
Yeah, that's why I was getting confused, because there is so many different variations of this.
And some of them have to do with the engine, and some of them have to do with the year as well. Should we have a look at the interior?
Yeah, interior and then off-road features. Yeah. So let's do that really fast, and then I want to take it through our course. By the way, this sticker on the door survived. So in order to use your locker, you need to read this. Once again, kind of an emergency escape from a muddy roads, it says, situation. So there's a clutch start cancel.
Yes.
So that button, of course, this is a manual truck. We have an inverter, 400 watts. Once again, rear diff lock. Where is the four-wheel drive lever?
Well, it's a switch.
It's a little switch that went first. I wish they would have kept the lever, my friend.
Yeah, well, you know, there's people out there who are terrified of pulling on a lever.
Decent amount of space here. I mean, not tremendous space in the second row. But once again, it's a very typical cab design. Relatively high floor, slightly lower roof, and it's mostly for clearance for off-roading, right? But a big dude like me, sitting behind myself is not a terribly good idea.
Would you say there's more room in here than, say, your Colorado, or less?
My brand new Colorado, a little bit less. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I would agree.
All right, so let's go off-road.
All right.
All right, so I'm in neutral. This is manual transmission now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to 4 high, and then I carefully go to 4 low. That was actually pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
But we're level, nice and level.
Yeah, we are on level ground.
All right, now let me go around. By the way, the first gen truck had about 140,000 miles.
Yeah.
Which is almost brand new for a Tacoma.
I mean, if you're a Tacoma fan, that's what you would say, yes.
This one has, this 2005, has 123,000 miles. Also brand new.
Yeah, this one's been well loved. There's definitely some little bit of damage and repair here and there, but
you're right. I'm glad Gavin got a manual transmission. There's another benefit here because it's really geared a little bit lower in first gear, right?
You drop it into first gear and you can go over a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And that was the same with the first generation.
And do it slowly.
Yes.
All right. Do you think this will rub? Well, this is
not as much.
This is stock suspension.
Yeah, it shouldn't rub. And if it does, Gavin is going to throw something really heavy at you, not me. You're taller.
All right. So this is mostly stock suspension. And these logs are terrible. Who put this here?
I know, seriously, right?
You know what? It's really hard. We took the brand new trucks up here.
Mm-hmm.
I think only like the most advanced, like Ranger Raptor, are not fazed by this.
Are you kidding? My Ford Expedition went over this. No problem. You guys saw that? You were in there.
No, but you drove like 100 miles an hour down there.
Yeah, I know, and I still lost the stupid thing. Okay, let's go over.
I'm in low. I'm in first gear. I'm crawling. I did not engage my locker yet because Toyota says I should be careful.
In case of an emergency.
So our trenches is designed specifically for this. Articulation.
We want to get wheels off the ground. That's the whole point.
That's what makes it difficult for vehicles to navigate.
And as cool as that looks, the cooler thing is if you're going off-road and you don't have your wheels coming off ground, that's even better because you have more traction. Huh, that did that pretty good.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Is this an emergency situation when we hit the locker then, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, this was a small emergency. Not actually a big emergency.
Yeah, but we wouldn't be able to go forward without the locker. Well, we could with my method, but you don't want to break it.
Well, your method is to go to 11.
No, 10 and a half.
Whoa, did you feel that? It engaged? Bam.
Just went. This thing is nice.
Now that is the beauty of locking differentials. You don't need any fancy, computers, trying to think for you. You just select it, bam, TRD off-road, bam.
All done. And here's the other thing. That torque, that easy torque, you were in first gear, you barely had to accelerate.
Dude, this 4-liter doesn't care.
I'm telling you, it is such a good engine. It's just, cojones.
Okay, I need to disengage my locker.
Okay.
Otherwise, Toyota gods will be angry at me. There, it's off. All right, now
That was quick.
Let me accelerate a little bit.
Are you still in low?
Yes. Second gear. Third gear. Oh yeah, no problems, dude. This truck runs really nice.
Considering that it's a well-used vehicle, and I believe it's running on stock suspension and very similar to stock tires.
Yeah.
It's great. Not a lot of rattles. Great.
Now let's jump again in technology and check out the 3rd gen.
The 3rd gen, yes. The one I think you and I are absolutely the most familiar with.
Now we're getting to the 3rd generation of the Tacoma. And remember, in 2015-ish, you and I went to Tacoma, Washington to drive this Tacoma.
That's right. We went out there and it was a huge event. We went off-roading with it, we drove with it. The only thing we didn't do back then was tow with it.
Yes.
But we
fixed that later. We brought it back here.
Oh yeah, we did.
So we know this generation very, very well.
We do indeed. So this is where I guess some of you guys would say Toyota fixed a lot of their problems because they built a more efficient truck and supposedly a more capable truck.
But not everything was good or great.
Exactly.
So this generation is between 2016 model year technically through 2023. So once again, Toyota likes to keep those generations over at least 8, 9, or 10 years, right?
Correctamundo. And by the way, a special thank you. This was another vehicle that was loaned to us.
Thank you, Bree, for letting us use your truck again. Actually, we've used this exact truck in several videos.
Oh, okay. Well,
So thank you, Bree.
yes, thank you, and thank you, and thank you.
Okay, so this is a truck that you see probably everywhere on most roads. I mean, they still sell a lot of these, and it's the best seller in the midsize segment.
It is,
Yeah.
and this leads all the way up to the brand new one. So if you think about how many have been built, both in Texas and in Mexico,
Yeah.
this thing has absolutely killed it in terms of numbers.
Once again, double cab, but single cab and extended cab, extra cab versions were available. This is, once again, a 5-foot bed. So shorter bed, but very similar to the 2nd gen truck we just showed you. What do you think about the roof heights here?
Yeah, it's
Nathan?
interesting because they're sitting out about the same height, but the roofs, you could clearly see that this one is higher, but still a little cramped inside. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yes, once again, TRD off-road, it's something Toyota Racing Development, right? They've been laser focused on that division and what it represents for Toyota.
Yes, they have. Now let's drop that and have a look-see and see how deep this bed is.
All right, once again, composite bed, right? And, we grew again to 19.5-inch depth. Can you reach?
Yes, but definitely there's something
getting
to be
a little bit
said.
harder.
Right. If I was any shorter, then I'd have a real issue being able to reach to the bottom of the bed. But now we're talking about full composite. Everything in here, composite components, and all of this is. Wow,
Sorry, I broke Bree's
Your
truck.
OCD is really kicking in.
No,
now.
I broke it. I touched it.
Are you gonna be okay with the leaves in front of you?
No.
Okay, so let's continue. In this bed, it doesn't look like it's got all the features, but it's got some of the features in it.
Yeah, it's got a cubby hole on your side and also the inverter, 400 watts once
And
again.
it's got the tracks here, but it's not showing the cleats here. That just, she may have just pulled those off. But these vehicles had a similar capacity to the other ones, but once you add an additional inch, all of a sudden you have a lot more. So that bigger bed was one of the first things they told us when we went to that event.
Yeah, I remember. Then towing, actually with a proper package and a V6, towing was again 6,500 pounds. So Toyota didn't feel the need to step up. And remember, we asked one of the chief engineers, Mike Swears, at the time. I'm like, why? And he said, Tacoma customers don't prioritize towing. That's what their research showed. So once again, they did not push those numbers higher, but I think that's okay.
Yeah, unless of course you're a Nissan, Ford, or Chevy fan, and then you're thinking,
Well, Ford and Chevy have been in a fight, locked in the battle. But look, factory
This is a
connector.
major improvement, and this is proof that they were listening to customers and us about a good location
Yeah,
for.
so there's no way you're going to damage this, right? Because it'll hit the bumper first.
No, I could find
if
a way.
anything.
I could find a way to damage that, Andre. You know that.
I'm sure you could.
But the point is that it's a much better location, much more logical up here, and that
This
does
is
make a big
mostly
difference.
old stock also. So this doesn't really have a fancy lift or anything like that. It does have, of course, Wild Peak tires. Let's show the payload,
Okay,
because I'm not so happy about this, Nathan.
go crazy.
990 pounds.
Yeah, that's no good.
What? So once again, this is one of the more sort of, well, actually, it's not a luxury model. It's basically an SR5 off-road model. But I wish that payload would have been higher. And I think they were listening, because we'll talk about it later, right? So
In a
let's-
similarly equipped truck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's look at the power.
Yeah, so things changed. They went away from that 4-liter V6 and they decided to come out with an all-new V6, which was, well, frankly different.
Yeah.
Injection was different. Everything was really different.
So this is a D4S, so dual injection basically, and 3.5 liters, so they shrunk it a little bit, right? 278 horsepower and 265 pound-feet of torque. So the horsepower went up, but the torque did not go up. It actually went down a little bit.
Yes.
But they introduced, of course, a 6-speed automatic, but the two never really talked to each other in a really great way.
I think
right?
you and I both agree that at least with towing and hard highway, the 4-liter actually seemed to respond a little bit better.
The 2.7 liter survived and was available in this generation, and was also available with a 5-speed manual. So if you
Yes.
wanted the most affordable Tacoma, that was the way to do it. It would be a manual 2.7. And actually, I rented one once, and once again, I wouldn't tow with it, but it was okay as a kind of runabout.
Right, and it probably had more payload than this.
Yes. Let's take a look at the off-road features really quick before we get going inside. This is, once again, a TRD off-road model, and it does introduce new technologies. So, Casey, actually, do you want to jump in here? Because there's a lot going on in this cab that we want to talk about. First of all, 4-wheel drive knob. So they still kept the knob. But then, if you look up above, this is the new tech that they introduced. Multi-terrain system, some version of crawl control, right? Early crawl control for them, and also locker up here.
In addition, the interior design has gone up leaps and bounds, and it's now a far more modern, even by today's standards, design. I really like the switchgear that they used in this vehicle. Very large, you can wear gloves and turn just about everything and push buttons on just about everything. Very logical setup. Yeah, the screen's not very big by today's standards, but remember that this started out, well, all the way back in 2015.
Yeah, and this is a 2020 model, and look, the parking brake is now changed.
Yes!
And it's between on the console right there.
Yeah, that's the best place for the parking brake. Unfortunately, things change once again.
So I need to go to neutral, I need to go to 4 high, and also 4 low, and I'm using the knob again.
Sounds like
All right, that was easy because we are level and everything is happy. Then I also have these crawl control systems that we could play with if we wanted to.
Okay. So, hey, I wanted to point out something.
What?
There are going to be people out there who say, well, why didn't you get exact models to compete against each other? Like,
We did.
yeah, this is pretty close.
This is pretty.
Granted,
you
they're
gotta
not all
say.
stock and everything else. There's only
And
so
we
much-
don't have a double cab first gen.
Yeah.
But still, come on, guys.
Yeah, I know, but I know some people are, oh, that's not apples and apples or whatever. And, you know,
There's no oranges here.
sorry, guys. You know, we're limited in what we can do, but you know, we're doing our best.
Let me try to do an MTS system. And there are 5 different speed levels, like between like half mile an hour and like 3 or 4 mile an hour.
Oh, that's the ABS talking to us.
Remember, this is when the loud system existed.
Uh-huh.
They will fix that for next gen. We'll show you. Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Breathe. Nothing to worry about. This is really the computer working, right?
Marie, I apologize for everything Andre's about to do to your truck.
What? I'm not doing anything.
Of course not. Wow, that is a very active system. It doesn't
like the log.
It doesn't like
Is there a log setting on the computer? Okay, I'm gonna disengage.
Yeah, please
it.
do.
Nice and easy.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, we'll try the 4th gen and see how different that system is.
So big surprise. Each gen that we've been in, the seats have been more comfortable each time. The ride has been more comfortable
Just
each time.
slightly, definite improvements in each generation. All right, so now I'm gonna go super slowly. I'm not selecting my locker yet. Let's see if the computer will help us, if at all. Once again, this is the 2020 model. All right, we're approaching the more difficult parts. We're again in 4 low.
Okay.
Dude, the H truck is doing kind of similar things.
Yep. So, the magic button.
Pink! It's now above my head.
Yeah. Okay, it's flashing. It's thinking. Think it's
there
on.
it is.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
Easy,
Seriously,
easy.
rear locker does so much.
Interesting, the computer decided not to step in, but I could have used MTS, multi-terrain select, and then the computer would have come in again and helped me out as well. Okay. Yes. Yes?
But
And
I'm
yes.
not a big fan of the computer systems.
Okay. I'm with you, actually.
You know what I mean?
am with you. Why create different modes when you can just have a locker?
Because
like
there
this?
are certain people out there who really are a little concerned about going off-road in a $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 pickup truck, and they want as much help as they can get. And I totally get that. If my wife or my daughter were going off-road, I would say use every system in the vehicle. But for me, I like to know that I'm just on the cusp of getting that feel myself, right?
Mechanical systems.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Dude, by the way, you're absolutely nailed it. It is more comfortable, it is more precise. Different generations, we're seeing much bigger improvements now.
You know, I think we need to do this with every truck maker out there if we can in the future.
I would agree.
So if you own a Nissan Frontier
Hard body?
or a Ford Ranger or even a Chevy Colorado, there's 3 generations of Colorado. Yeah, maybe we should do something
How
like
about
that.
Dakotas? Should we go deep with Dodge?
Let us know in the comments below what you think.
We're now in the present completely because this is the 4th generation 2024 model. We were one of the first people to actually own a brand new generation of the Tacoma, so we're very thankful. TFL owns it.
Yes, we do. And this is where everything changes.
Yes.
Toyota changed everything, the frame.
I don't know if they left a
powertrain.
single bolt unturned.
Pretty much not, but they still managed to have it look quite a bit like the previous generation, so
I think, yeah,
you could tell it's a Tacoma.
it's very different. But if you look at the roof height even, you can see the new Tacoma is a little bit higher than every other generation.
It makes all the difference inside.
But they kept bumper to bumper length almost identical to the previous gen. It was very important to Toyota to keep this garageable. That's like a term that they use.
Right.
Because most garages are like 19 feet long or sometimes 20 feet long.
Right.
In older homes, right? And so you'll be able to put this truck in the garage still. They widened it. They lengthened the wheelbase so you can see the wheels are actually pushed a little bit further so they can improve like the approach angle. And the frame is all new. Everything is new.
Yeah, you know, going back not that far, previous generation and then all the way back, they had the C-channel version of the frame.
Yeah.
Essentially.
This one had it, the
Right.
3rd gen.
And it meant that your rear end was a little bit flexible. And then some people felt that that was better for off-road, and some people are like, oh no, that's the worst thing in the world when it comes to payload and everything else. So there's kind of 2 different camps on that whole thing. This has a fully boxed frame going all throughout the vehicle.
And it's shared that technology with the Tundra and the Sequoia and the Lexus GX and the upcoming 4Runner.
Well, it's
and
the TNGAF.
Yes, and the
yeah.
4Runner and the Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
All of them will have it.
Yeah, you're gonna see it on bicycles at some point in time.
Dude, this bed is a little bit taller also. And this is a fully stock truck.
Okay, now, this is what I've been talking about. See my hand? I'm leaning basically in the same spot here. I'll move it even a little forward, and I can just touch this.
Okay.
We're now at a point to where...
Whoa, 21 and a half. So we are growing. Still.
Right. They get their volume, the number that they're looking for, and by the way, once again, of course, all composite, updated, of course. but they did it at the sacrifice of being able to actually reach in and touch the bottom of the bed without going on your tippy toes if you're just over 6 feet tall.
Check this out. We got these billet tie downs too.
Yeah, is that part of the...
No, this was not original. This is from Charvonia Design.
I'm glad that your eye is on the prize right there, Andre.
No, but they match the blueberry color of our truck.
Okay. It's pretty blue. I agree. Okay, let's continue, shall we?
By the way, this is a base TRD off-road. They also have the premium model that costs $10,000 more. And we didn't get that because we wanted to be as frugal as possible.
Well, yeah, of course.
So we don't have like the inverter system. We don't have like cubbies. We do have lights.
Yeah.
So this bed does have lights, and we don't have even a window in our, a sliding window in our rear glass.
Those are all overrated anyway. Let's talk about payload and towing.
By the way, this tailgate is super light to use.
Yeah.
It's assisted.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Well, considering how big it is, it better be.
The hitch is redesigned, integrated. This double wall construction on the side is a little bit, I question that because sometimes it's hard to put the pin in there.
Yeah, that's you mentioned that before.
But the plugs are still well placed.
Yes, I agree.
6,500 pounds or sometimes 6,400 pounds, depending on the model, is the maximum towing. So they didn't actually raise it. They haven't.
No, they haven't. Now, I bet before we get to the engine, I wanted to mention one thing. Yes, there is a hybrid that is coming out. That is in the Pro model and also
and the Trail Hunter.
Trail Hunter.
And also in the Limited and also in a couple of other models.
Right.
So they're going to offer it optionally in several models.
But we haven't had that one out here yet. And when we do, we'll definitely do a video on it. Just want to let you guys know. We know about it, but it's not here yet.
Well, let's pop the hood because everything changes, right? It's okay.
Something you guys should know, and that is that the original Toyota trucks leading up to what we showed you with the Tacomas, they were 4-cylinder engines.
This is an all-new design, right? 2.4 liters of straight 4, like 4-cylinder, turbocharged, 278 horsepower, but they bump up the torque to 317. So a lot more torque. And actually, on paper, the paper specs don't do this engine justice. We've drag raced this truck, we took it on our towing tests, and it always surprises me how low the torque comes in. It almost has a diesel quality to it.
Agreed.
That's how torquey this engine is.
Yeah, and 2 transmissions available, I believe?
Yes, so 8-speed. There's also, they kept the manual, so thank you.
Thank you, Toyota. I will thank you on that one.
But let's show a couple of off-road features and payload, my friend. So did they improve it? 1,200 pounds. So a tiny bit of improvement, but I wouldn't say, because this truck overall is slightly larger and heavier because of the frame.
Right.
So this truck is overall heavier, but it still has 1,200 pounds of payload.
That's still better than the other one. Anything under 1,000 pounds doesn't make much sense to me. Why bother owning a truck, right? So let's talk about the 4-wheel drive system, Andre.
All new. And look, they moved everything to the console. There's nothing up above you as far as off-road selections and features. That knob determine, 2 high, 4 high, 4 low, drive modes, crawl mode, multi-terrain select, and a locker. Can you point to that?
Right there. Where's the verbiage on the locker? Where's all the warnings and everything else?
I don't see any verbiage or any warnings.
I'm only seeing airbag warnings and stuff like that over here. So
I think we're past that now.
I think so. I think people finally got the idea. Once again, interior design, they kept it pretty simple. I just love having large dials and knobs and very easy to use switchgear. I think that they really did a bang up job with that type of a design, and most importantly, I fit. I can actually fit in the front seats and almost in the back seats.
They raised the roof of this vehicle a little bit, so it's wonderful now. By the way, the gross vehicle weight rating is 6,240. Remember, the first gen was 5,100?
Yeah.
So this overall weight grew by about 1,100 pounds.
Which puts it in a full-size truck market going back 25 years.
But look, I fit.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
And Andre's taller than me.
It's awesome.
This is what they really needed to do to maintain their competitive edge. So they've done that.
And we have an electric parking brake, so no more handles, nothing.
I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest with you.
It's right here.
I much prefer having a manual one, especially going off-road. Okay, so speaking of which...
Let's go.
Yes.
Let's drive. My engine start button is a button, and it's red.
Yeah, and it says TRD on it.
Yes, because it's cool.
Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna go into neutral. And now I have a different knob. It looks really
Beefy.
fancy, but kind of plasticky too.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So you're in 4 high, now you're in 4 low.
All right, that was pretty easy also. Good start. Drive. And I have all of my MTS and crawl features here. And I want to really see the difference in that crawl control system because they improved it dramatically.
Well, another thing they improved was the interior space and comfort. It is a lot more comfortable in here, do be sure.
Yes.
Except for the grab handle here, makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, the passenger side grab handle.
I just don't get it.
It's not even a handle. It's like rock climbing. Like you have to like grab onto it.
Yeah, that's the last thing a guy like me wants. I want something chunky to grab onto. That didn't sound right. Let's keep going.
Okay, let me enable the crawl control feature.
Okay, here we go. Loud noises.
Because that's what I do. Now my speed, I'm gonna select a slower speed. It's enabled. Are you hearing terrible noises?
Not quite yet. Give it a sec. I'm not hearing anything.
It's because it's different. It's new. It's
well,
better.
Of course it's different than new, and actually I gotta admit it's working really well.
Yeah, and actually it's pretty comfy.
Oh, the
I mean,
riders.
it's not, we're not being jostled quite as hard as the other truck.
No,
Trucks.
this has, the fully boxed frame.
Yes.
It's a beefier vehicle altogether.
Yes.
It's funny, if you put this next to the first generation, this thing looks like a full-size truck by comparison.
Yes. So maybe the science is in. Boxing frame is better. I've said it.
I will say that it took the logs way better.
I would agree.
Yes. Okay.
It was manageable. Our heads were not tossing quite as hard.
Nowhere near.
Let me disable the crawl feature. By the way, these tires are not quite as aggressive as some of the other trucks.
Are these stock tires?
Yes. These are trail terrains. Good years.
You know what this
do you
has?
hear that?
Yeah. You know what that is?
What?
It's the side steps.
Oh, yes, it is a side step.
Yes.
But also, did you hear this? The traction control system came in without me selecting any modes, and I didn't select my locker.
So far.
And it did it.
So far. If there's a step back there, let us know.
Did we lose a step?
We'll know in a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you hear that?
The whine of the turbocharger?
Yeah, it's like music to my ears.
Well, it's almost like a diesel, just without the clatter.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Look, no doubt they've done a lot of work to make this thing a much better off-roader for novices.
I would agree. It's much more approachable.
Yeah.
And now I think a bigger population of people would be able to jump in here and immediately feel a little bit more comfortable in this truck.
Agreed and agreed. I think that is where they really did a hell of a good job. Not everything is perfect, but they certainly did a lot of improvements.
I agree. And the 8-speed is pretty smooth. It's almost unnoticeable.
The 8-speed's way better than that 6-speed auto. Way better.
All right, but so now we have a tough decision, my friend. We gotta go and figure out what's our favorite.
I think I know. Oh, quick disclaimer. You want to say it?
No Tacomas were hurt in the making of this video. So after all this, we have to pick our favorite. You go first.
Second generation.
Really?
I love the first generation. I miss mine.
Yes.
Second generation had that 4-liter V6. Might be one of the best engines Toyota's ever built. I know it really sucks for economy, but who cares?
You know what? After driving the first gen, I fell in love with it again.
Ah.
But it won't tow my boat.
No, it won't tow your boat.
You knew I was going to say that, right?
Yeah, but nothing will tow your boat.
My Colorado will tow my boat because my Colorado has a lot of towing capability.
You Toyota guys were not expecting him to start talking about Chevys, were you?
4th gen for me. I just love the acceleration that the new turbocharged engine gives. It just pops off right there and jumps and goes. I love that engine.
The engine's good. Actually, the overall build of that thing is pretty good. I love the interior space, but I'd still take the 2nd gen.
Okay, well, let us know what you think, and join us again at oldtfl.com for all the latest news and reviews in one place.